You. Springs BOE, we are live and being recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call?
Roll call, we have in attendance tonight, we have Patrick Brabant and in the field, Kate Saris and Dermot Quinn.
We just got an exec session. We're now going to a public meeting. We're going to set up for Pledge of Allegiance.
Motion to go.
Oh. Can I make a motion now?
Motion to go to leave executive session.
Oh, a motion to leave executive session.
Do I have a motion?
A motion to leave executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carry. All right. Now we're going.
There we go. This is Pat's debut.
Yeah, you got a sheet. Please put me up. Go by memory. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. I'd like to at this point take a moment of silence for all the teachers back pain. Thank you. Thank you. I'm okay. We have public comment. And for agenda board, agenda items only. Do we have any comments?
We have no callers on the line as well.
Thank you. We'll go to consent agenda. I'd like a motion to approve items 3.2, 3.8 to consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go to business, right? That's motion to approve items 4.1 to 4.8 on the business items on our agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jonathan, you want to go into a little detail? Please.
We'll start off. We have our regular warrants, claims, audit report, treasurer's report. We have our November and December special education PSU reports and CPSU reports. I'd like to highlight the budget transfers. We finally have all the teachers in the correct categories. So we're now reallocating the budget to make sure it fits the spot. A key highlight is we're now reporting teachers in lines where we're eligible to get aid on them. So we could possibly have an increase in aid in the future years now that we're reporting teachers probably based on what they teach. We have as well through NICER, DVIS will come in and do a property and insurance valuation and physical inventory count. It takes a day or two. They'll come in and go through every closet to make sure we have every asset that we claim we have. This is at no cost to the district. Our insurance company pays for it, and it also helps because you typically see a lot of things getting disposed of as we no longer have them. So it will also help reduce costs for insurance as we no longer are going to pay insurance for items we don't have. The last thing on the list is your rental agreement for Guild Hall, the middle school musical. They're going to be lucky enough to hopefully be performing there this year.
To go back. All right.
And I think that's really great. It's a great theater. The kids are very excited to be there and to be performing there. And I think it's going to be a great show.
So where were we doing the middle school musicals before? Just Risers?
High school.
I think it was
High
that.
school. I mean, we really did it. Guild Hall, and then things changed, and then we got back. I guess.
Guild Hall's a very nice venue.
Yeah.
Good
Oh, it's
time.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to be providing all of the lights and audio and all of that, which is a great benefit to us because then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The kids, I know the kids in the play are all very excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Told us feeling.
Yeah.
I look it up there. Great. Anything else? Anybody have any questions? Good. I guess Sam's gonna give his presentation on the budget, on the first presentation.
He did.
You did a vote. Okay, all right, great. All right, I guess I'll stand over there, at the risk of being seen on television. All right, so we're gonna do a first of our 3 budget presentations tonight. We have a great thing. All right, so go ahead. So it's always nice to start off with accomplishments of where we were, academically and fiscally. I don't need to read the slide to you. You can see what it says. The district is in great shape under your new superintendent's leadership. We've had some really excellent results academically, fiscally under Nancy and Jonathan's direction. We have taken care of a number of projects through the repair reserve. We've entered into a number of intermunicipal agreements, which are saving the taxpayers money. And you are also now off the fiscal stress list that the state comptroller put you on last year. So I think in general, for both academic and fiscal reasons, this district is moving in a great direction.
I do just need to mention those scores are from last year, so we also need to give credit to all the people that really worked hard last year.
Yes.
The scores where they are.
So let's talk about the budget formation process. So here's how we're going to work. So the district administration has consulted with the teachers and staff to determine what the programmatic needs of the district are for next year, your goals, where we wish to see the district go. You've looked at, the administration has looked at the value and efficacy of the programs to see what's working, what needs to be changed, what needs to be improved, what needs to be increased. District administration is then working to gather the contractual price and the obligations best estimates. This is an ongoing process, and we're going to talk about this as an example a little bit later. So just keep in your head that gathering this pricing information is part of an ongoing moving target. We're going to monitor changes in state aid formulas to determine how we can formulate a plan. There's uncertainty. Obviously, the governor has put forward a spending plan at this point. How that ends up impacting in its finality when the legislature enacts its budget is a question mark. You are reviewing these, you as the board are reviewing these presentations as they come along to determine that they represent the proper direction for that you see as a board for the district and taxpayers. We have 4 main budget goals that we want to outline here. I want to highlight the second one most importantly, which is to stay within the property tax cap. Voters have been very patient with the district for the last 2 years in order to formulate budgets that need to be met at the time. We are going to stay within the property tax cap this year, subject to your direction otherwise, and I don't see it coming. The voters need that, and the district needs it as well. So those are the goals that the administration has in putting this together. There are 2 sides to the budget. And I think it's important that we just take a moment to talk about this. The expenditure plan, that's the plan of how the money is going to be spent. That's what the voters are voting on in May. How you pay for that is the revenue. That's the money that's coming in to pay for the expenses. That's determined by the Board of Education. It's a little confusing in the way that the property tax cap law works, because the property tax cap law has to do with the revenue side of things, even though really you are presenting to the voters the expenditure side of things. And so we can talk about that as this process goes along. It's important to say that a budget is an aspirational document. We are designing a budget now in January and February and March. That's going to be in effect for months and more than a year into the future. We are making good faith estimates about what things are going to cost. Sometimes we have to build contingencies into the budget because things can happen, or it's simply too early to determine with finality what an expense is going to be. We're going to talk about that a little bit in a future presentation, specifically when it comes to health insurance and how that impacts. But that's important to look. Here, there are a number of budgeting problems. I want to highlight, as just an example, one of many, where we are with real property insurance. So this is the insurance that you carry to protect against damage to the real property, the fixtures, the building, and liability that comes along with that. Now, let's remember, the state has said we are capped at 2% increase. There's certain exceptions to that. You can see what the rates have gone up of in the last 5 years there. I don't think, except for 1 year, we were anywhere close to 2%.
Right.
As the insurance costs, which I think we can all agree are mandatory, we have to have this insurance, have gone up as they are, in excess of 2%, we've had to contract other areas of expense in order to stay within the budget. And because it's become so impossible in the past, that's why you've had to exceed the property tax cap in the last 2 consecutive years. What we have here, just back up 1 second, what we have here for next year, and again, this is just one of many examples, is an estimate of what we think the cost is going to be next year. Jonathan and I have been speaking to our colleagues in other districts. I think that a number of business officials are concerned about where the cost of real property insurance is going in the United States, particularly in light of the massive and completely unprecedented losses that are being seen in the Los Angeles area as a result of the wildfires. We anticipate that some of that loss is going to end up being pushed down to ratepayers all across the country. Companies are not going to be able to survive without it. We are estimating a 7% increase at the moment. I'm giving you fair warning, this is probably going to go up. But for purposes of our discussion tonight, we'll go with 7%. So the budget, I've recommended that you think of it in 4 general categories. And we've selected these categories because they're in line with how the New York State Comptroller organizes municipal budgets. There's general support, which is everything that goes from the superintendent's office, business office, facilities, property insurance. If you are reading the actual budget lines, it's the budget lines that start with a 1. See, it starts with a 1, it's general support. The next major area of instruction, next major area of the budget is instructional. General education, special education, tuition you pay for high school students, extracurricular athletics. These are things that in your budget, when you look at the budget lines, they start with a 2. The next major area is transportation. That's your busing. Busing to bring the kids here to spring school, busing to bring the kids down the road to the high school, busing for field trips, for sports. In your budget, that starts with 5. And then you have benefits and debt service, which is mandatory payments to the retirement systems, the social security system, health insurance, bond payments. That starts with 9. If you think about the budget in these 4 categories, that's how we're going to lay out our budget presentations. And we're going to do 1 category night presentation. We'll do the last 2 together. And that's how we're going to lay everything out. So there's a logical approach to how we lay this out for the board and those voters who are following along at home. All right. So the way we're going to do this to just show you is we're going to talk about what's in the various sections as an orientation both for the board and the public, and then we'll show you what the numbers are. And that'll be the pattern that we're going to carry through this entire process over the next few weeks. So Board of Education, service unpaid volunteers, thankless jobs, and I'm sure the community and administration would all agree. Thank you for your, even though it's a thankless job, well, thank you for your service and your dedication to the district. Your primary jobs are to adopt board policies, approve hiring, dismissal of district employees, and oversee the public's tax dollars. The district clerk, which is included in this section, serves as the board secretary, and of course, official action of the board, and the annual meeting, that's the vote we hold in May. Superintendent, business office, auditing, and legal, you can see what's involved with that. Obviously, the superintendent is the chief executive officer of the district. The business office supports that, her mission with purchasing, payroll, benefits, debt service, revenue receipt, treasury, auditing compliance. There are a number of outside contractors that you hire in order to help accomplish these goals. Your mandatory external auditor, your mandatory claims auditor, legal services, the list goes on and on. We're doing a selection here. You have robust facilities and security operations here. Obviously, the facilities department is responsible for day-to-day custodial maintenance of this building. The department also oversees periodic repairs, outside maintenance contractors, and of course the light systems of the building, heating, cooling, water, septic. Maintaining those things to ensure that this building is safe and operational for use is a major job. You have dedicated employees who participate in that. And obviously security, probably nothing is more important than the safety of the students who come here. And you have security guards and safety technology that go into making this building a safe and secure place for people to come to school. And finally, one of the sections we're going to look at the overall category called the data processing, postage, property insurance, postage administration. Most of this stuff is fairly self-explanatory. Property insurance, we talked about that a couple slides ago. board's refresher and for the public to know, the district gets its liability insurance and property insurance through a reciprocal called New York School Insurance Reciprocal. It is a insurance company, for lack of a better word, that is owned and operated by its member districts. They only insure school districts across the state. There's no other business. They provide services that we need. And the BOCES administration costs, which is another line of the budget, all of the component districts of Eastern Suffolk BOCES are required to pay a mandatory fee that goes towards the central operation of BOCES, whether the district selects no additional BOCES services or every additional BOCES service that they offer, the district has to pay a proportionate share of the cost of operating the BOCES at large. That's the BOCES administration costs. So those are the overall concepts of what you can see here, the costs of this. So the way we're going to do this for the board's view and for the public, as we show you what we're projecting to be our costs for next year, we're going to highlight in yellow where there's where you may have a question, we'll provide an explanation on the slide as to what it is. So you can see that there are some large increases in the superintendent business office lines and the auditing and legal lines. So in taking the first one first, there is an increase because we have moved somebody from a different section of the budget into one of those offices. So that's really just a reclassification of expense. It's not like the overall spending in the budget has gone up this line. It's just a reclassification of where the person is allocating the budget. The second large increase you can see there are auditing and legal has to do with some additional BOCES services the district anticipates needing for next year. This is the overall big picture of how this works. We can delve into the detail of where these numbers arrived at if you wish. I will tell you that you can see the last line in BOCES. We have been notified by BOCES that most of their expenses are going to be 3% next year. There are, of course, exceptions. Certain special education services, I think, are going up 3.67%, and other special education services are going up as much as 5%. We will cover that in more detail as we get to those sections of the budget that have that. Obviously, you saw the real property insurance number there. We're anticipating 7%. I think it's going to end up being higher, but that's where we are for now. And the rest of the increases are somewhat self-explanatory. All right. So here's the next steps. Obviously, we're going to continue to monitor the education to the district for next year between now and when the budget has to be finalized. We're going to continue to monitor changes in state aid. Obviously, the legislature is supposed to, by law, adopt a budget by April 1st, or they are considered late. For a very long time, New York was constantly late with the budget. We're now on the right track. The last couple of years, Italy, hopefully we'll be on time this year. And we're going to do more of these budget presentations over the next board meetings according to this schedule. So next time we're going to take a look at basically the structural component of the budget, and we're going to show you the tax levy limit. We are required to file with the state comptroller an estimate of what our tax levy limit is going to be by the end of next month. So we're going to show you the calculation at the February meeting. We're actually going to vote to, we're going to ask you to vote to that you approve our calculation, because that's what we're going to file with the state. We'd like the board to take ownership of that as well. In March, we're going to talk about the transportation costs and the debt service and the benefits. In April is when the board has to adopt the budget. So between March and April, there's going to be revisions as we get more information. So, for example, that's when we might know more information about the property insurance costs or adjustments. That's when we need to get the feedback from you about what you see wanting to add or subtract. The voters can have an opportunity to talk to the board about the budget on May 13th at a public budget hearing, and run the polls on May 20th. Anyone in the public, I guess I should say, has questions, obviously, superintendent is the person of contact. And if the board has any questions what we went through tonight, happy to answer any questions or defer to the supervisor.
Can you go back to the screens? I just noticed something on that with the percentages.
Yeah.
This one?
Yes, that one. The notice that the facilities and the order facilities, is some of those fees now going into administrative costs?
And why there's a decrease?
It's a decrease in that because we have services using East Hampton, right? Now, where does that funds go? They get transferred over to somewhere else?
No, it's in there. I mean, the money you're spending for your facilities director through an intermunicipal agreement with East Hampton is probably less than half of what you were spending when you had somebody here full time. So that's where you get the interest. So the cost for the contract with East Hampton is still in that facilities line. It's a contractual expense. So you have that contractual expense compared to what it would have been that you have the salary line in that same section to pay a person to be here, which is, I think, a wonderful example of how the intermunicipal agreements are beneficial for the taxpayers here in Springs, getting the services you need, and you're saving money at the same time.
So many questions.
I just have a question about the insurance percentage, because obviously it always goes up, plummeting down with the expectation it might go up, but why is it going down? Like, what we from 17%, I guess, the year before it went up, and now
A
it's
lot of it's driven by
projected.
a lot of it's driven by how NYSER sets the rates. Obviously, there's some involvement with how NYSER does with other districts that it insures, right? I think it's fairly well acknowledged in the insurance industry that schools, not this one, have taken an insurance hit because of the state's reopening of the sexual victims. And so sexual assault, so we'll all see in public newspaper articles about this, about how a number of districts have to pay out significant settlements, some of which have been covered by insurance. So that has been a hit. NYSER has also had to pay out a number of losses over the recent years. I think that myself and a number of my colleagues have communicated to NYSER this limit to what districts can reasonably expect to absorb in light of the 2% tax cap rules. But sure, it's what it is. Some people may suggest, well, why don't you shop around for other insurance? And that's certainly an option. I don't recommend it. But the advantage of being NYSER, for the most part, is that because we are district owner of the company, it's very hard to drop. I think anybody who's ever suffered a large loss in property insurance, their own home or automobile insurance, you run the risk that your insurance company is considered you too high a risk, drop you when the time comes time to renew your insurance. It's very unusual for NYSER to do that because its member districts are its owners. So, I think my recommendation to the superintendent, and I hope she has on board, is we have to find a way to absorb these increases, because going out for private insurance opens us up to the risk that we could be dropped in a disaster.
Do you think that getting insurance through NYSER will insulate us somewhat from the catastrophes that we're seeing on the West Coast?
I think that's a little bit outside of my area of knowledge. I'd like to hope it is. I know that NYSER has heard from a number of my colleagues, including me, that there's a limit to what they can continue to increase the rates by and allow us to sustain what we're trying to do here, which is the emphasis on kids. The insurance market is what it is, unfortunately. It's a litigious time. But I don't know how we get away with not having it. So I think this is one of these instances where I would say, it's the best of bad options.
Thanks. Looking more presentations.
Thanks.
Looking more. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Please. Nobody there, right?
No, nobody has signed on or called in or anything.
Fantastic.
If you want me to, I'll put the number back on the screen for a little bit, and then we can just make absolutely sure. But we only had 2 viewers on our YouTube channel. Our peak was 4. So I just want to let you know.
Thank you. I've been reading this one, but it's changed the way we did it. So the recommendation at the beginning that we approve it. I didn't realize that when I was doing it. So I'm trying. Things change, and I'm old. I've asked a motion to approve items 6.1, 6.3 of the superintendent's report and recommendations. I need 2 motions. Motion, okay. Nancy, can you please present them?
Thank you, Pat, and you are doing a great job.
Nobody's
We have 2 appointments this evening. The first is Raquel Burns, and she is being appointed with board approval as a teaching assistant. It's a position that we've had vacant, and we're very happy we're able to fill it. The second is Jean Marie Mazzafarro, and she's being appointed as a leave replacement for a special education position. And we welcome them both to the Spring School family. We're appointing as a leave replacement now instead of a permanent position, so we can really determine what our needs are for next year. So she's being appointed through the end of June. At this time, too, I really want to publicly thank our neighboring school districts, Montauk, Amagansett, and East Hampton, for their support during a very difficult time at Spring School. As our staff and students were grieving the loss of our beloved teacher, Megan Payne, they provided additional counselors to meet with both staff and students, and also teachers to cover classes so our Springs teachers could attend services. We appreciate the overwhelming support we were offered and provided by our neighboring districts. So I want to publicly thank them. It was very much appreciated by all of our staff and our students. We also want to thank our PTA. They invited hospice to their meeting to provide guidance on dealing with grief and talking to children. And we're just so fortunate to live in such a supportive and caring community. And we thank everyone for getting us through that difficult time. And just on a note, the first semester is ending. It's hard to believe. It's ending next Friday, January 31st. And as our new semester is about to begin, we're excited that our fourth grade students are now going to have the opportunity to choose an instrument and participate in band. And they're very excited to begin this. They didn't start in the beginning of the year, and now they're excited that they're going to be able to start in the middle of the year. We also have a new chess club that's beginning with our middle school students, and that's going to be an after-school club. We're excited to be able to provide our students with that opportunity as well. And also there's going to, our middle school students are going to be performing the musical Moana at Guild Hall, and there'll be 3 performances. Thursday, February 6th at 7 p.m. will be open to all the public, so we invite everyone to come and really enjoy the show. And then Friday, February 7th at 9:15 and 11, the students and staff of the school are going to all have the opportunity to go and see the show and support the middle school students. So they'll want to participate themselves when they get to the middle school. And now I just want to show our enrollment report as we do each board meeting. Interestingly, we're up 13 students at pre-K through 8 from December. Was December 6th was our last meeting, and we're actually up 13 students in the pre-K through 8, and we're up 4 students at the high school at this time. So as I said, one thing that's really important to us is that we continue to look at enrollment, not only for Springs, but for our neighboring districts as we work through the budgeting process for next year. And I just want to remind everybody that there's going to be no school on Wednesday, January 29th, in celebration of the Lunar New Year. It's now a state holiday, and public schools are required to be closed that day. Okay, thank you very much.
How we can approve? The motion to approve Nancy's 6.1 to 6.3. Opposed? Approved?
Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
All in favor?
In favor.
Then we go to public comment. Nancy, is the school union, the budget count is going to be on the website?
We can put it on the website.
Yeah, it'd be
Sure.
helpful to put that on the
I
website.
can also put the presentation.
Yeah, we can put the presentation there as well.
And then also, one of the applications due for, I guess we have a couple of us going up the school board this year. I don't know who's up. But for the school board trustee, when is the
I'll find
deadline?
out the exact date.
Deadline. Is that on there?
There should be on the deadline to nominate someone.
Okay, it's right there. April 21st. Okay, you got it. Perfect. Cool. And we'll go to public commentary, number 2.
Still nobody.
Fantastic. I think a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very